Hello, everyone, and welcome back to your favorite military real estate podcast out here in Southern California. Today, we're going to be talking about something, right, that's going on with the market. And this is going to be a very interesting topic because I didn't know. I'm here today as a student because I brought the one and only Charles Vamadeva, CEO of Patriot Pacific, to talk to us about the 2-1 buy down rate. Charles, how you doing today?
Very well, Albert. Thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah, of course. No, I quite honestly, it's every single time that I talk with you, I learn something new, and that's why I text you. It's like, Charles, we got to talk about
Let's do it. This is a hot topic, man.
Yeah,
a really hot topic.
It is, especially the first time that I ever heard about it was whenever we were talking. Like I saw it on your page. You did like a quick video on your personal page, and I was like, hold on a second, like we got to talk about this, right?
It's huge.
And you obviously answered the call, and now we're here.
Yeah.
So as you know, over the past 2 years, right, interest rates have been as low as they've been ever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of people got used to that. A lot of people got used to seeing that, and then now that they're seeing rates into the fives, right? People are freaking out, especially if you became a realtor like me, right? Within the past 2 or 3 years, people are freaking out. They don't know what to do, right?
Right.
And the one thing that they're resorting to is price drops, right?
The agents are, right.
The agents are, correct.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So why is it not a good idea to price drop?
So let me answer another question that you haven't asked yet first, because I want to get to that question, right?
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, the rates were in the twos for a couple of years, but they were artificial, right? They were brought about by some decisions that the Fed's made that drove interest rates down to help the market. But, historically, we've always been in the fours and the fives. In 2008, 9, we were in the sixes. We've been in the sevens before. People that are, here that are doing real estate 20 years ago, they saw rates in the 10s and 11s. So rates in the 4s and the 5s are not terrible.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Gotcha.
But you're right. Right now, what we're seeing is two things, right? We're seeing, number one, we're seeing a shock factor.
Okay.
Buyers are like, hey, I was planning on, 2.5, and now I'm over here at 4.5. The shock factor, like, my God. And then secondly, obviously, if they budgeted for a payment at 2.5 or 3 or whatever, and now they're having a budget at 4.5, that's an issue too.
Yeah, that's an issue. Especially, I actually looked up this information in the MLS, and I did a filter for our local area, right?
Okay.
The area that our service members that we that we service are in, right?
Okay.
And 463 price drops.
Amazing.
Within the last month.
That's crazy.
463, right?
Okay.
So that's obviously a lot, right?
It's a lot.
And I saw in your video, and this is what I would like you to elaborate on. It's like, okay, they're price dropping. Why is it a bad idea?
Here's a couple of reasons. I don't think it's necessary.
Okay.
To begin with.
Okay.
I think the number one reason is we all want to preserve values in our communities.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And you go price dropping again and again and again, that's going to drive values down, which doesn't help the owners in the community.
Yeah.
Secondly, I don't think it's necessary.
Okay.
And let me explain why. Okay. So most of the time, buyers that are waiting, they're waiting because they want the price to drop so that their payment drops.
Yeah.
It's about payment. Yeah. The conversation that we had is about payment. No one sits there really and says, hey, I'm buying this house for $463,000. What's it going to be in 30 years? They're like, what is my payment today? What can I afford? And that's the conversation to be had. And so this is where the 2-1 temp buy down comes in.
Okay, and what is the 2-1 buy down rate?
Okay, in a nutshell, first of all, Albert, it's a fixed interest rate. Okay. We're talking about a 30-year fixed interest rate. We're not talking about an adjustable rate that goes up and down. You've got a fixed interest rate for 30 years. Let's call it 4.5 for argument's sake. Rates are going up and down. We're recording this in August of 2022. And let's talk about a VA buyer. So VA buyers are 4.5. 30 years fixed for 4.5. All we're saying is we've got a program where the first 2 years you pay at a lower interest rate.
2 years.
The first 2 years.
Okay.
The first year you pay at 2% lower than the fixed rate. So if you're at 4.5, you're going to pay a payment at 2.5.
Okay.
If you start at 4.25, 30-year fixed, you're going to make a payment based on 2.25. So whatever that rate is 2% lower the first year.
Gotcha.
The second year, the end of 12 months, it goes up 1%. You're still below your fixed interest rate, right?
Gotcha.
We plan on that fixed rate, whatever that is, 4.5, 4.75, whatever. And so that savings comes out to a significant amount of money.
Yeah.
And that's the primary thing in the buyer's mind is, what is my payment? What is my affordability?
Got you. So let me see if I understand you correctly, because I'm listening to you and I'm literally learning as I'm going. Okay?
Sure.
So to confirm,
I had to learn this myself at some time. Everyone's learning.
So what you're telling me is, for the first 2 years, right? People will, or buyers, right, are afforded the opportunity to go 2% lower on their fixed interest rate, which for argument's sake is 4.5%. So they'll be paying 2.5% for the first year, and then it goes up year one, and then it ends up at year two.
Exactly right.
At 4.5.
Exactly. And if I may add, if you think about it, the lender is expecting interest on 4.5, right?
Okay.
So the question arises, wait a second, if they're paying at 2.5 or 3.5, where's the lender going to get that money from? Give us the money.
That was my next question.
Yeah, we're expecting 4.5. I'm lending you money at 4.5. I'm not lending you money at 2.5. And you're in it for 30 years. Well, here's where your seller comes in. Here's where I don't feel like the price drop is necessary. The seller of that home, rather than drop the price, could say to the buyer, hey, look, payment is the issue. That's your concern, right? That it's the pain caused by what just happened. Why don't we pay what the lender needs to give you that payment drop the first 2 years?
No, it makes sense. So, okay. So this is, oh my goodness, I'm surprised that this information is not out there, like way more than what it really needs to be, right? So basically what you're telling me is that the seller, instead of being like, hey, let's price drop it $15,000, $20,000, right? Let's go ahead, leave the price as it is, but let's give that $10,000 to $15,000 in credit, or I guess how much
concession? It's a concession.
It's a concession. Okay. So, but how much money on average, of course, right? Like, would sellers have to pay?
My example that I looked at the other day, $500,000 purchase price, which I know that's not getting you a whole lot anymore around here.
Yeah.
But you can still buy a home for $500,000.
Yeah.
It was going to cost the interest of about $10,152. So the seller would pay that. But here's the beautiful thing, Albert. The seller can pay that and also pay other closing costs. You know, your buyer still got escrow and title fees and appraisal and insurance and property tax impounds and all of that, right? So if the seller wanted to, they could pay the standard closing costs and then pay the concessions for the buy down. Now you're really making it sweet for the buyer. Got you.
Okay, and especially in this transitioning market, because the market is 100% transitioning.
Yes.
Okay, so that's, oh my God, like I'm.
It's about payment. It's about payment.
It is about payment.
You know,
and how can this? Is there any like backlash? I guess my question is like, how can this affect a real estate transaction? Whether it'll be positive or negative, how can this affect?
There is absolutely no negative impact on the transaction. If anything, it makes the transaction happen when it might not have happened.
Got you.
Otherwise, because guess what buyers are doing, right? I mean, buyers are on there scrolling Realtor.com or Redfin or Zillow or Facebook or whatever, and they're seeing price drops. What do? They're like, hey, they dropped at $50,000. Let me just sit around and wait. Maybe they'll drop it another $50,000. Yeah. And so now you've created this waiting game, and you're hurting values in the community.
Got you. And and I don't know how you feel. I guess we can talk about this briefly, but. Honestly, like a lot of people were saying, oh, well, the real estate market was like super hot 2 years ago. But if me now that I study this, you know, professionally, that was not a healthy real estate market to be on. I don't think that was a sustainable real estate market to be on. I think now that we are where we at now, right? And I think this was the idea all along. We have to create, and it is our, you know, professional responsibility to create a sustainable real estate market like what I think is going on right now, right? And it is providing this knowledge out there to both sellers, buyers, agents, loan officers that might not have this information, and provide them this information so that way we can create a healthy real estate market. How do you feel about that?
Here's my thoughts on it, Albert, is in my opinion, at 25 years of doing this, a healthy real estate market is one where you have just enough supply of real estate so that people aren't leaving the state in droves. Like, I can't afford it here. I'm out of here. I'm moving to Idaho. I'm moving to Tennessee, whatever, which is happening, right?
Yeah.
You've got healthy competition. You've got maybe 5, 6 buyers going after the home. They're offering a tad bit above market list price. But what's not healthy is you've got 50 buyers going after the same home, and the ones that are able to come out of pocket $100,000 cash are going to get that home. I don't feel like that's a healthy market.
It's not.
And here we're talking about veterans. You're a Marine.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about the VA buyers. They especially could be put to the back of the line.
We were in the back of the line.
Right, in that kind of market.
We were.
I feel like we still, I don't feel like we're there yet. I think we're coming to a point where we're going to have a healthy real estate market. We still don't have enough inventory, in my opinion, compared to what's coming.
Yeah, I don't think we have enough inventory as well. As a matter of fact, let me put you an example. Let me put you this is happening right now, okay? I'm working with a client. She's in the Navy. She's trying to buy in the San Diego local area, right? So she's looking at Chula Vista, downtown San Diego, Mission Valley, that whole 9 yards, right? Literally, I've been in the market with her for around 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks, because we've been beat. Even in this market, we've been beat by other buyers that are willing to put down money out of their pocket, right? And my thing is, I want to put my clients in a position to succeed, right? So whenever I'm like, no, this is not the market, especially with the interest rates that you're gonna have to be paying. This is not the market for you to go and put out of your own money to do that, right? We have to find those deals, that are going to be able to afford us to do the 2-1 buy down rate. Sellers are giving out closing costs. That way we put our service members or veterans in a position to succeed in the short term and in the long term. Because another thing that I'm seeing also is now, before you would 6 months ago, a year ago, you would get into a home and if you wanted to be competitive, you had to go over the appraisal value. Right? And then now I'm seeing that veterans and service members are going with equity into their homes. How does that affect, our service members and veterans that already have equity? When a year ago, they might have not had equity.
You're talking about the ones that already own a home, or the ones that are about to get into it?
The ones that are about to get into it.
What I would say to buyers that are about to get in a home, do not expect some crazy 25% appreciation of value. I don't think the ingredients are there for that, at least not now. But this is a long-term play. Are you going to take that BAH and leave it with base housing or rent off base and give it to the landlord? Or are you going to put that into a home? And maybe all that'll happen is when you PCS out of here in 3 or 4 years, you're going to get all the money back that you put into it. Exactly. Maybe that's what will happen. That's still a step up.
Yeah, exactly.
That's still better than giving it away, right?
Exactly. It happened to me yesterday. Marines, I guess they see my videos, the Marines around my shop. I guess they see my videos.
Nice.
And they pick times that I'm relaxing, and they go so Gunny, what about I'm thinking about buying a home, but I'm gonna rent. I think they do that to test me. Right. And what I do is, whenever I do have time, what I do is I break it down to them. And I challenge you that you're seeing this video, challenge me. And if you see this video and if you ever see me around, go ahead, ask me that question, because I'm going to get asked anyways. Right. It's go ahead and ask me that question. Hey, I'm thinking about renting. However, what about buying? And I will give you the rundown that I give to my Marines. Now, the last question that I will ask to you, Charles, right? Because this is one of the most common questions that I ask, right?
Okay.
Marine comes up to me. They do their research, because most Marines they're getting smart, right? And what they do is they do their research and be like, oh man, I can buy a duplex, I can buy a triplex, all the way up to a fourplex with my VA loan, right? And then they come at me, right? And they say, well, you know what? I want to buy a duplex. I want to buy a triplex. And in this area, you can. However, the price is up there. I guess my question that I have to you, right? How can veterans or service member active duty in this area buy a duplex, triplex, or fourplex?
A couple of ways to do it. And people are doing it. We're seeing it. Of course, multifamily is priced higher, right?
Yeah.
You've got 2, 3, 4 doors or whatever.
Yeah.
You can have 2 veterans. And when I say veterans, active duty, whatever, guard, reservist, whatever, they can buy together. They can split the entitlement if they want, and they both move in together. Or if you buy a 4-unit property, you might have veterans that move in. They have 2 units left to rent out, and the rent from those other units can help almost wipe out the mortgage payment in some cases, depending on the location of the property and the amount of rent. I think that's a great way to build wealth.
No, yeah, and because essentially down the road, right, as long as you meet the VA stipulations of living in it for at least a year, you can technically say, right, it's like, hey, listen, like, it wasn't big enough. I got married, like, and then now you have that property that you met the VA requirements.
Sure. And
then now you can move to somewhere else, and now you're a landlord with 3 or 4, doors.
Absolutely. And some service members, veterans who are able to purchase a multifamily by themselves and they move into 1 unit, 12, 24 months down the road, they could refinance that into a conventional loan, up and leave and go buy a home maybe with their VA entitlement, or just leave it and pick up the rent, move on, buy another house. I guarantee you, well, I don't want to say the guarantee. It's very likely that they're going to have a good amount of equity in that home.
Yeah, because the multifamilies, like, they appreciate, right?
They go up in value.
Something that will never change, right? Because there's a lot of people, and this is something, right? Like, I will say more than 90% of the things that service members are scared of, 90% of the times don't happen. You see what I'm saying? It's like it happened to a staff sergeant back in 2008, and then now that staff sergeant is a master gunny, and it's going like, oh, you shouldn't do that, right? And then guess what? Guess what we do as Marines? It's like, oh, well, the master gunny said that we shouldn't do it, so I'm not gonna do it, right? 90% of the things that our service members are scared of will probably never happen to them.
Albert, after all these years, 25 years of putting veterans in the homes, doing loans in 3 different states, I have never yet had one person call me back, not one person call me back and say, oh my God, I regret buying a home.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have done it. There's been concern sometimes when we do the purchase, like, hey, what if I get deployed? I got to up and leave.
Yeah.
Or if I PCS out of here, sudden I get orders to a whole nother state. And those are valid concerns.
Yeah.
What do I do with this property? Rent it out. Still, even with those circumstances, it has never happened yet where someone called me back and said, I'm screwed, I'm going under. It has not happened.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying, because with a lot of Marines, their main concern is like, oh my God, like, am I good? That's one of the concerns. Like, am I gonna be able to afford this? Like, this is like $200 or $300 over my BAH entitlement. But that payment that you're gonna have today in 2022, August 2022, is gonna be the same for the next 30 years. August 2055 is still gonna be the exact same. You know what's not gonna be the same, Charles? The rents.
And here's what I don't get, right? I mean, if I may say this, people, if you want to save money, what do? You take money that you have and you put it away.
Yeah.
Why don't we look at home ownership in the same way?
Yeah.
Why do we have to have that conversation? Hey, my BAH is $3,000, with dependents, and I don't want to pay more than $3,000. Well, what's wrong if you pay $3,300?
Yeah.
What's wrong with that picture? And consider that $300 additional as a savings account. Because I still haven't had someone call me back after years of doing this and say, oh my God, I'm going under, my value went to hell, whatever.
Yeah.
Consider it a savings account.
Yeah, especially in the area, right? Like real estate is very local, as it is. And especially in the area that we on right now, close to a military base, close to one of the biggest cities two of the biggest cities in the world, right? Like, the value in homes here gradually goes up, right? Or historically has gone up, right? We don't have a crystal ball to say that it's going to.
Historically, it has.
Historically, it has, right? So a lot of people have that concern, and it happened to me back, and I think I say this every single real estate podcast that I have. It happened to me back in 2012. I was scared. I was like, oh my goodness, like a $500,000 like mortgage payment. Now that home is worth like $900,000, and then my mortgage payment, I would probably still owe like $250,000. How much money of equity I would have had? This is why I am a firm advocate for what we're talking about, and this is the reason why I bring these videos. You know,
because what we're talking about here is finding a way to break through the payment barrier.
Yes,
that's the concern in the buyer's mind. I can't afford that payment. Rates got up to 4.5, even though historically that is a heck of a good interest rate, right? But if this, what we're talking about, a 2-1 buy down, could get them in, you know, on a $500,000 VA loan at 4.5%. When I ran the numbers, the first year, the buyer will be paying $588 less than the 30-year payment.
Oh my God,
that's significant.
That is super significant.
That would help somebody get in.
Yeah, like that would, people will be extremely happy if they were able to get in, right? So if you guys want more information about how to do the 2-1 buy down rate, please go ahead and contact me. You already know where to contact me. You guys can either click on the link above or the link below. And Charles, how can people get a hold of you?
MAXVALOAN.com. Just go there. All my contacts information's there, applications there, the whole thing. MAXVALOAN.com.
And you mentioned something. You mentioned before we close, right? You mentioned something that I found interesting because I actually didn't even know this, right? You said that you are licensed in other states.
We're in California right now. We just got into Texas, and we're in process for 7 other states. Awesome. I will tell you that we prioritize what we consider the military states, if there is such a phrase. Florida, North Carolina for starters, and we're going into Tennessee, Washington. So our broker record's got a bunch of states that we're pursuing.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. So you know, even if you're watching this video and you're not in California, if you're one of these other states, go ahead and reach out to us and we will gladly help you to make sure that you get the best deal, where they'll be selling your home, where they'll be buying your home. We will make sure that you get taken care of. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'll see you in the next time. Thank you for coming.
You're so welcome. Great content.
Take care.